Welcome to the Balanced Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Sherman, fitness coach for burnt out perfectionist. If you're ready to break free from overwhelm, simplify your nutrition, and make fitness finally work for you instead of against you, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into easy strategies to balance your health with your busy life. Let's hustle for balance, not burnout. Grab a seat and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. You are getting my morning voice today. Typically I record the podcast in the evenings, but this evening I have a phone call and I have to work out. And I said, Lindsay, if you are going to make the podcast happen today, your call happen today, and a workout happen today, you need to either do your workout this morning or the podcast. And my body was not ready to hop on the spin bike this morning. So we are sitting here with the babies, with the dogs. I have one next to me cuddling and one in the recliner across from me. And we are having a cozy morning podcast recording session. So I'm going to record it this morning. It may or may not go up this morning. Telling myself it does not all need to happen at once. It just needs to be recorded. We can put it up this afternoon, but you could be listening to it at any time. So I really needed to get a solo podcast in this week. Last two podcasts were with guests. We had my mom, and then we had one of my dear friends, Christy Richards, on the podcast. This weekend, I am recording another podcast with another dear friend. Her name is Tracy, and she is a health coach. She does a little bit different things than I do as a fitness and nutrition coach. We focus on a lot of the same concepts, but she has a lot of really unique things that she can offer to you guys, and I think you'll really enjoy listening to her as well. So we're recording that this weekend, and I was like, wow, do I do solo episodes anymore? I love having guests on. I think it's so fun. I think it's so valuable. And when I asked my mom to be on the podcast, Christy immediately volunteered, which was awesome. And then Tracy, who I've been wanting to have on for a while as well, our schedules just kind of fell in line, and we're going to be doing some other things together too this summer, which is fun. So we sat down and had a meeting, planned out a podcast, planned out some other things that we're going to be doing this summer and offering together. Some are in person if you're local to the area, but that will be really fun. So anyway, it just so happened that we had 3 guest podcasts all fall into line together. And now could I spread them out a little bit more and, make it look like I've done some work on my own here in the last month? Sure, but I just like posting. When it's done, when it's recorded, I'm posting it. So I hope you enjoy some of the guests I've brought on, and just seeing a few of them or listening to a few of them together all at once. But this week, we're getting a solo episode in to break it up a little. Did not get a chance to record last week. Last week was crazy. I got to onboard a new client, which was super fun, super excited for her journey. I was just coming off of a launch and having seats open. So it was a little chaotic, but we're back into it this week. And speaking of chaos, this week's episode is my PSA to you today that all of your chaos cannot live in your little noggin, okay? Let me say that again. All of your chaos cannot live in your little noggin. Now, if you are like me, you are someone who is possibly type A, possibly feels like you need to be productive every single day, probably has a lot going on, possibly has an issue with saying no, possibly takes on much more than you can handle sometimes, right? Now, my good news for you is that a lot of the things that you are taking on, you do have the capacity to handle, but we're just not strategizing the right way, and we're not handling all of the balls that we've got in our court at once in the most effective with the most effective strategy, if that makes sense. So what I'm saying here is, when you are taking on possibly different roles, different responsibilities, whether it's at work, at home, with family, it can't all live in your little noggin, okay? Or you're never going to be able to do everything that you want to do. And like I said, the good news is you can do more than sometimes we think we can if we can manage it in the correct way. Now, sometimes we need to say no, right? And that's another episode, but sometimes we need to let some things off of our plate. But if you've got multiple things on your plate and they're all very important to you right now, and you don't want to let any of them go, and you think that you shouldn't have to, you may not need to. We can balance those in a much better way by getting things out of our noggin. I'm going to say it again, get it out of your noggin. So I think I'm going to do an episode about this soon, going into more detail of when I worked in agriculture, when I worked on a farm. But one of the reasons I'm tying it back to this is because when I was in that role, I had a lot of things to focus on the day-to-day. I had a lot of things going on, and my head was just constantly swimming with all these different things. And when I started to get them out of my noggin, I was so much more focused. I was so much more better in my work, better at my job, and it helped me immensely. So we're going to start real simple. One thing I started doing at the beginning of every day, I would get to work and I would immediately make a list. And I will still do this on days in my current 9-to-5, in my coaching business. If I am feeling super chaotic and super hectic, I will immediately make a list when I come into work. And then I would add to that list throughout the day. So anytime that I thought of something that would just come up and pop in my brain throughout the day that I hadn't thought of in the morning, I was jotting it down on that list immediately, and it took it immediately right out of my head. I could go back to focusing on what I needed to focus on, and I was better for it, right? I was happier, more focused, more clear-headed. I knew I wasn't going to forget that thing that I had just thought about, and that helped me so much. So this was just a paper list, like on a notebook, on a folded up piece of paper. I will still do this, like I said, when things get chaotic, but we can start to do this before things get chaotic, and that will go even further, right? So how are some other strategies for getting things out of our head besides a basic paper list, right? So that's super easy, super great place to start. I've kind of evolved to have some more systems that I use. I still will keep kind of a generic paper. It's not paper. I do Google Docs. So I'm going to go into the things I use now. I go into my phone, and one thing I have the Google Docs app. And for me right now, I'm using this for mainly content ideas. And I will think of my best content ideas when I am driving, when I'm in the shower, when I am just doing something around the house. That's actually a scientific thing, that you think better when like your brain is kind of in a default mode of something like taking a shower, something like driving, maybe something like gardening, and you start to think of better ideas. But then what we do is we think of that idea and we're like, oh, I'll remember that for later, and then we never do, right? And this could be with anything. This could be a to-do list for you. It could be really anything, right? So what I recommend is you could use your notes app. I use Google Docs. I do also use my notes app for some other things. Google Docs I kind of keep to my business. My notes app, let me open up my notes app. What do I have in here? I had some concerts I wanted to go to this summer. I have some people's names and numbers, just random things that I just needed to get out of my head, random thoughts I have in my notes app, restaurant recommendations I have in my notes app, just different things. Google Docs I use when I have a content idea. I immediately jot it down. So this serves two purposes. One, we get it out of our head so that we can focus on what we are currently trying to focus on, and other things that have just come first, right, that take precedent. And then number two, we're not going to forget it, right? I will 9 times out of 10 always forget a thought that pops into my head that I say that I need to remember and that I say I'm not going to forget. I will 9 times out of 10 always forget it every single time. Like, I'm telling you right now, I thought of a content idea yesterday and I wrote it down in my notes app. If you were to ask me what it is right now, I cannot tell you. I don't know what it is. I have to go into my Google Docs. I scroll down. Okay, there it is. Yep, that was a great idea. I'm glad I wrote that down because otherwise I would not have remembered. So if you are getting started, I would recommend a paper notebook, even a piece of paper, anything that works for you, whatever kind of suits your life better, Google Docs or your notes app to get started just with brain dumping. This is like just for brain dumping. This is not structured. You do not have to have a system, an organization thing set up. This is just for brain dumping. And if you start doing this, you are going to feel so much better and other things in your life are going to benefit from it. So that's my step 1 for you if you are just getting started with getting things out of your noggin, okay? If you are a chronic, hold it in your noggin person, try not to forget, and try to handle all of the other things. That is my first step, okay? Next step, calendar app. If you do not have a calendar app at this point, I will allow a paper planner, okay? I was a paper planner person for years. It is better than nothing. But if you are a paper planner person, I hope that you use that planner and you have it on you the majority of the time, because otherwise it is very hard to make it work. You need to have it on you so that you're not trying to remember things to write down later when you make plans and trying to make plans off of memory from what you've written in your paper planner at home, okay? It can work. I used a paper planner for years. Now I highly recommend a digital planner. A digital calendar really is what I'm talking about. So my husband and I, we have a shared calendar. He hardly puts anything on it. But when we do have something on the calendar, I can say to him, it's on the calendar. You should have known. You should know about it. He can't use it as an excuse anymore. If we have something that comes up for the both of us, I'll put it on the calendar. So it's very easy to see what's going on, and I never really have an issue where I'm having conflicting things happening because I'm immediately putting it on my planner. I always have my phone on me, so it's always just going immediately in the planner, and I'm checking what else is going on around it. So I have 2 recommendations for this if you need to kind of get your schedule organized. I love Google Calendar. Google Calendar is amazing. Love that. I currently switched over to TimeTree, and that is what I use with my husband. I think TimeTree is really easy to create shared calendars with people. I originally was using Google Calendar with my husband, but the problem was that he was seeing, like, I was using it for all my business stuff and all my personal stuff, and he was very overwhelmed with seeing everything that was coming into that calendar. I mean, it is great because it can sync, like if you have a Zoom meeting with someone or something like that, or like even a concert, it will automatically sync to Google Calendar. I think I also have my TimeTree set up to do this. There's pros and cons to both, but if you're looking for 2 options, those are the 2 I recommend. I do like the way that Google Calendar lays out your day better. I like the day look of it better. But Time Tree is great too. I have a widget. I love widgets. That's my other thing. Get yourself some widgets to get stuff out of your noggin. But I love a widget. I love about Time Tree, you can put your face on each event, and like you can add your family's pictures and faces. Even my dog's faces are in mine. So like when they have a vet appointment, I'm putting their face in there and we know whose event it is. So that's kind of fun. So that's what I do to get my schedule out of my head. All right, I've got 2 more for you, okay? Next, chores. So we have an app just for chores in my house. Now, this might seem like a little overboard, but again, chores are one of those things that I just always have in my head that I'm like, oh, I can't forget to water my plants. And then 2 weeks later, all my plants are dying and I haven't watered them, right? So I like to have a basic. Now, I keep this very basic because I don't need something else overwhelming me. I need this to help me. So I keep this very basic. We have a chore app. We use Todoist. I think it's called Todoist. Yes. And I use this one because it was free, and I can also share this with my husband. So my husband and I both have chores on here. Again, it's very basic. So for me, I'm taking care of dishes, I'm watering the plants, and we split up when we cook dinner, and I do the majority of the grocery shopping, okay? My husband, he is on laundry. He is on cleaning the floors. He's responsible for maintaining our little robot vacuums. And he has his dinner nights also. So just having that laid out, it's, even if maybe I'm not perfect at getting my chores done every day, I can see like, oh, when was the last time I checked off that I watered my plants, right? When was the last time that I went grocery shopping? For example, I'm pretty good about grocery shopping every week, but things like that, even if you don't follow your schedules and your routines perfectly, you should still have them, because what this does is when you kind of get off track and your brain is all jumbled, you know exactly where to go back to and where to start again, right? Instead of just starting from square one and having like all of these things that you need to figure out and plan out, you can just go back and see like, oh yeah, I missed watering the plants last week. Let me start with that. You know what I mean? So having these systems in place, even if you're not perfectly using them, gives you a structure to come back to, right? It's like when we were in high school and middle school and you missed a day of being sick, right? At least you knew what classes you had to catch up on. Like you knew what classes you missed, so you knew who you had to go, which teachers you had to go back and see. It could be college too, right? You know what you missed, so you have that framework to return to and to help you get back into that routine, if that makes sense. So a couple more things I use. I think I had said 2 more, maybe have 3 more. Let me just go through them. The next thing, I'm just swiping through my phone, is my health stuff. So I keep all this out of my head too. So I use Trainer Eyes with my clients. It's an app that you have to pay for as a coach. But I use it with my clients, and I also use it with myself. So I make myself my own client, and I put my workouts in there, as well as how much water I want to be drinking, as well as my nutrition goals. So I don't have to think about that either. It's all out of my head. I'm not thinking like, oh, well, did I hit legs this week, or did I hit arms last? What was the last workout I did? How many sets of that did I do, and which weight dumbbells did I choose? No, it's all in my phone. So all my workouts, my nutrition, it's all right there. Now, if I lose my phone someday, that's an issue. But a lot of this stuff, it's all like online. So you can get it back really easily. I'll cross that bridge that day if technology ever leaves me. But until then, I am embracing it. I am embracing ChatGPT. I am embracing every part of technology because this is the world we live in, and you might as well use it to your benefit. Now, can you also do this all on a paper planner? Absolutely. If you are totally against technology, I'd love to see you do it in a paper planner. You can do all these things in the same place, right? Technology, digitalizing it is just really nice because if I miss something, it's not like stuck 3 pages back in my planner. It's just reminding me of that and keeping it on my schedule every day, if that makes sense. What else do I use to get things out of my head? I also use, I had one more for you. Oh, Asana. I use my Asana. That was the last one. So my Asana is what I keep all of my business stuff in. Now, this one, I saved it for last because everything that I just mentioned, you could do in Asana. You could do everything, the calendar, the chores, the ideas, the brain dumps. You could do this all in Asana. And I'd like to have my things a little bit, I just have certain apps that I like, and so I spread some of my personal stuff out within these other apps I just talked about. But for my business, for my coaching business, it is all in Asana, every single thing. So I plan out all of my launches, everything I need to do with my current program, the Burnout to Bliss Blueprint. If I have any upcoming programs coming up, any free challenges or paid challenges or master classes or anything like that, you can create different projects in Asana and then to-do list under each project. And then what you can do is you can assign due dates to everything within your to-do list under those projects, and they will all compile into one task list. So you could have 6 projects going on that all have all these tasks that need to get done, and then they will all compile into one task list so that you know what you need to do today. So that has been a lifesaver for me in my business, between managing what I need to do on social media, what I need to do with clients, what events I have coming up. I teach live workout classes. I'm going to be doing some more in-person events, what needs to be done for all of those. And then it just compiles it into one huge task list. So if anybody's interested in Asana, it's a tiny bit of a learning curve, but it's also free. I mean, everything I've mentioned is free. We like to save money here too. Let me know and I can definitely teach you my ways of Asana, because it has been beautiful. I have a weekly planner in there, so all of my tasks that need to get done every single week for my business are planned out in there, and they are just reoccurring. So they just repeat every Monday. I've got my things that I do, right? And they just constantly filter into my task list. I check them off. I think it's so huge to have something that you are checking off, crossing off, right? That you can say, I got that done. It's not just all swimming around in your little noggin, okay? Because you have other things you need to do. This opens you up to being more creative, to starting new projects, to doing the projects that you already have going super well, to, excelling at what you have going on already. These are all tips that have have been super beneficial in helping me out. And I cannot stress this enough. You cannot keep it all in your nog, okay? It needs to be out into the world, out on paper. You will be so relieved when it is. So that's my little PSA for you today. Those are the tools that I am currently using and that I am loving. If you have any questions about any of those, feel free to leave me a comment on here, send me a DM on Instagram, and I'd love to help you out with getting started with any of them, to show you how I use them. I could even do a screen recording for you of my phone and show you how I use them. it's just been so helpful for me, and I know it will be for you too. So let me know if you're someone who keeps it all in your noggin and you end up getting super overwhelmed at the end of the day. This is my morning voice. So if you catch me repeating words and fixing myself, I'm just gonna let it roll. Okay, we're just letting it roll. This is casual. This is like I'm talking to a friend. So if you catch yourself being one of these people, let me know. I'd love to help you out, give you some tips, help you get started. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast, and I will see you next time for a guest podcast. Should be next time. We're recording this weekend. So granted that that plan stays in place and all goes well, I will have a guest for the next one, or you will just get me again. So either way, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Balanced Hustle podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Be sure to leave a review or share with someone who needs a little extra balance in their hustle. For more tips, tools, and resources to help you reclaim your energy and build the strong, vibrant life you deserve, follow me on Instagram at LindsaySherman_fitness, and don't forget to subscribe here so you don't miss a single episode. Until next time, remember, progress is always better than perfection. Keep taking those small steps. They'll tell you exactly where you need to go. Talk soon.